welcome everyone. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us today. My name is Adam Graham, and I'll be joined by my colleague Jack for the Q&A.
Good morning.
Jack and I will be helping do the Q&A together. Until then, I'll be doing the webinar for you guys. So at Qlic, over the last 5 years since COVID, we've seen many organisations that are either still stuck with on-premise servers or forced to move to the cloud during lockdown and have some kind of limbo between different solutions and platforms, leaving users and managers confused and struggling to get to grips with the cloud. So today we'll be looking at moving to the cloud, maximising the platform you're using, and making the most out of any charity donations and discounts available. So I'll kick things off with a quick introduction for those that don't know who we are. So as I said, my name is Adam Graham and I'm the MD here at Qlic. We are Qlic IT for Charities. We're passionate about helping charities and non-profits with their IT, with over 20 years experience of the sector. We started in 2002 and have grown into one of the UK's leading MSPs for the charity sector. We're a team of 45 supporting over 350 organisations in the charity sector. We offer managed and co-managed IT support, cloud and cyber security solutions, Teams telephony, VoIP, mobile and broadband solutions, and everything we do, all services are tailored to the charity sector, keeping them reliable, cost-effective and flexible for either office or remote teams or hybrid teams. Our ethos is to deliver human-centred, mission-driven technology, making sure technology supports your cause, not the other way around. We really do want to become your partner, not just the IT guy. So I'll start by looking at on-premise solutions. So the majority of new organisations we meet with are fortunate to have already moved away from on-premise solutions. And I imagine many people here today are also in the same situation. But we still do get organisations come to us that are stuck with complex line of business software, or maybe haven't had the budgets in place to migrate. For years and years, traditional servers and local infrastructure were the backbone of every organisation, but the landscape has shifted. More and more charities are realising that running everything on site simply doesn't make sense, especially when your teams are spread across multiple locations or working remotely. The key drivers we're seeing are fourfold: high costs, limited flexibility, increased security risks, and just the need for better collaboration tools. Those servers in the office cupboard, the ones we hope don't fail before the end of the year, come with constant maintenance, energy costs and backup headaches. And when they age, they don't just slow down performance, they expose the organisation to risk. So what does all that mean in real terms? Every time you pay for a replacement server or call an engineer out to patch or reboot one, that's money not going towards your core mission. And to the cost of downtime if the IT system crashes, staff can't access files, remote workers are cut off and productivity stops. There's also the people side to this. Most charities don't have an internal IT team. So when something goes wrong, it often falls to a single person juggling half a dozen other responsibilities. That's stressful, inefficient and risky. And then there's security. Outdated or unmanaged systems are one of the leading causes of cyber breaches in the charity sector. Attackers know that older on-premise systems are easy to target. When we consider how much sensitive data charities hold, donor details, service user records, trustee correspondence, the potential impact of a breach is devastating. So what is the alternative? So modern cloud platforms like Microsoft 365 have completely changed the game. They give you flexibility, built-in security, and powerful collaboration tools without the cost or burden of maintaining physical servers. By the end of this session, my goal is to show you that moving to the cloud isn't just a technology upgrade, it's a strategic decision that frees up time, money, and headspace to focus on your mission. So let's look at the alternative actually looks like. What does a modern cloud-first setup mean in practice? It's not about one specific product or brand, it's about a way of working. Cloud-first organisation is one where your people, data and systems are no longer tied to a single office, server or device. Everything your team needs is available securely from anywhere, whether it's at home, in a community hub or on the move. The focus shifts from maintaining equipment to enabling people. Your IT becomes an invisible backbone that supports your mission rather than getting in the way. So in practical terms, that means collaboration from anywhere. Staff and volunteers can access shared files, calendars and conversations in real time. No need for VPNs or emailing attachments back and forth. Automatic updates and maintenance. Systems rely on updating themselves in the background, meaning you're always using the latest, most secure versions. Integrated security and compliance with features like two-factor authentication, data encryption, and access controls are just built in. They help you stay compliant with GDPR and sector standards. Flexible working. Whether your team is office-based, hybrid, or fully remote, the experience is seamless. Everyone has the same tools, data, and access. With built-in resilience, files and systems are hosted securely in the cloud. Your data is protected against hardware failure, fire, or theft. Backups are continuous, and disaster recovery takes minutes, not days. And then there's lower cost and greener impact. With no physical service to power or call, you save money on energy bills, reduce your carbon footprint, something many funders are finding increasingly valuable. So imagine what that could look like in your own organization. Your fundraising team and project leads can collaborate on a campaign without worrying about version control. Trustees can securely access board papers from anywhere. And volunteers can join training sessions online, even from their phones. Instead of worrying about technical issues, your staff can focus entirely on delivering services and supporting beneficiaries. The cloud-first approach isn't just about technology, it's about culture. It's about creating an organization that's flexible, secure, and ready for whatever comes next. At Qlic, we work with 350 not-for-profit organisations across the UK, from small community charities to large national organisations. And we've noticed some really clear trends in how the sector has approached the cloud, both with successes and sticking points. So here's what we've seen. First, some charities are still relying on aging on-premise servers. These are becoming increasingly expensive to maintain and support, especially as parts become harder to source and warranties expire. Often organisations tell us they plan to replace it next year, but next year turns into the year after and the year after. Second, there was a big push to move to the cloud during lockdown, but it was rushed. Many charities have had to move quickly just to stay operational. Staff were using Microsoft Teams or Zoom from home, but often without a proper setup, permissions or training. That led to misconfigurations, weak passwords, and data being stored in places no one could quite keep track of. Thirdly, we're seeing multiple platforms in use. A charity might have Microsoft 365 for email, Google for file storage, Zoom for meetings. It's well-intentioned, but everyone's just picking up the tools that worked at the time, but it's created duplication, confusion, and gaps in security. Fragmented systems and fragmented data, and that leads to poor inefficiency, poor collaboration, and increased cyber risk. Every platform is another potential vulnerability. So what can we learn from all this? Charities that are thriving in the cloud are the ones who've taken the time to consolidate, step back, streamline, and choose one well-managed platform as their foundation. Bringing everything under one roof, whether it's Microsoft 365, Google Workspace, or another system, means they've been able to improve visibility, tighten security, and make life simpler for staff. Think about your own organization for a second. Think about how many tools you and your staff are using to store files and share files, how many versions of the same spreadsheet exist across those systems in attachments, on emails, and in file folders. And are you confident that every folder has the right permissions? If any of those questions make you hesitate, you're not alone. That's exactly where this consolidation starts to make a real difference. So let's take a look at the main cloud platforms that we're seeing in charities today. There isn't a one-size-fits-all answer. What's right for you depends on your size, structure, and how your teams work. Broadly speaking, most of the non-profits fall into one of three ecosystems: Microsoft 365, Google Workspace, or Amazon. Each serves a slightly different purpose, and understanding those differences helps you choose wisely rather than just following what everyone else is doing. So here's how they compare. Microsoft 365 is by far the most widely used in the sector, and that's for good reason. It brings together email, collaboration, storage, and security all in one place. Most staff are already familiar with Outlook, Word, and Excel, which means minimal training, and the non-profit offering is incredibly generous. Business Basic is completely free for eligible charities, and while Business Premium includes all the advanced security features and device management at a heavily discounted rate, even after they've removed the 10 free licenses, you're still getting a 90% discount on what they're charging to businesses. Google Workspace is obviously simple, intuitive, great for charities that love the Google ecosystem. It's great for teams that are very collaborative, mobile, and prefer working entirely in the browser. The core edition is free, business standard and plus available at significant discounts. And lastly, Amazon Web Services, slightly different. It's more about hosting applications, databases, and custom infrastructure. We see larger or more technical charities use it when they've developed a bespoke system, or they need to host secure data environments for research or service delivery. The AWS credits program gives eligible nonprofits between $1,000 and $5,000 in annual cloud credits. So while Microsoft, Google, and AWS are the big three, there's several other cloud platforms we've seen charities using, often to fill the gaps or because they were adopted with it before full migration. These tools can be brilliant in the right context, but they also introduce new challenges if they're not managed as part of a wider strategy. So Dropbox was an early adopter that was used by many private individuals. It's one of the simplest file sharing tools out there, and it's just for straightforward cloud storage that syncs across devices. Non-profit pricing is available through TechSoup, making it accessible for small charities. Ignite is an enterprise-grade document management tool with detailed permissions and compliance controls. We tend to see this in larger charities or those with strict data governance, such as healthcare or maybe grant-making organizations. And Trezor is more of a recent one. It's another secure cloud storage platform designed for organizations that want simplicity, low cost, and strong encryption. It's often popular with community groups or small charities that don't need the full Microsoft or Google suite. Each of these has merit, but there's a catch. The more systems you run, the more fragmented your data becomes. Files end up spread across different platforms, permissions get inconsistent, and your team spends more time managing complexity rather than delivering value. So which one is right for you? The takeaway here isn't that any of these tools are the right choice, it's that you should be using them strategically. The most important thing is to make a deliberate choice, one that aligns with your people, processes, and long-term goals. If your organization is using several of these tools, say Dropbox for files, 365 for Word and Excel, and Google for email, that's a red flag. It means your staff are wasting time figuring out where things live instead of doing the work, and it increases your cyber risk dramatically. The next few slides are going to focus on that exact issue, why consolidating onto one main platform can simplify your world, save money, and make your systems much more secure. So it's really common, as I say, for organizations to end up with a bit of everything. Microsoft here, Dropbox there, a few Google accounts from an old project. That kind of mix and match setup often happens naturally over time, especially when your teams adopt what they need when they need just to get the job done. And here's the challenge. Your organization grows and these multiple platforms start to create complexity, security gaps, unnecessary costs. So let's break it down. Security risks. Each system you use is another doorway that needs securing. If your staff are using multiple logins across different platforms, it's harder to enforce good password hygiene or multi-factor authentication consistently. So data protection concerns means that when files are spread across several systems, it's difficult to know where everything lives. That makes GDPR compliance tricky, increases the risk of data being shared or stored incorrectly. Staff confusion, people waste time trying to figure out which platform to use, or worse, they're storing documents in one or two different places. That leads to data duplication, version conflicts, frustration with staff. Training and adoption. So again, if your staff have to learn and switch between multiple platforms, it becomes harder to train them and keep them properly aligned. One system means one way of working. Hidden costs, again, duplicate licenses across platforms mean you're paying for tools that you don't fully use. Simplifying into one system almost always brings financial savings. And then hardware compatibility. Things like laptops and phones can perform differently depending on the platform. For example, Apple devices often work best with Google, while Windows tools integrate more seamlessly with Microsoft. So what we want to do is consolidate. And what does that achieve? By focusing on one platform, whether that's Microsoft 365, Google, or another, you can make everything simpler. One login, one training path, one place to collaborate and share. Security improves, costs go down, and staff spend less time chasing files and more time focusing on your mission. It's not just an IT project, it's a cultural one. It helps everyone in the organization feel more connected, more efficient, and more confident that the tools they're using are secure and reliable. So ask yourself this, how many different systems does your charity really need? And how much smoother could life be if everything just worked in one place? So now we've talked about and we understand why it makes sense to bring everything together. How do we actually do it? So consolidating to one cloud platform isn't something that happens overnight, but it's also not as daunting as it sounds. The key is taking a phased, well-planned approach. Whether you're moving from Google to Microsoft, merging multiple systems into one, or simply cleaning what you already have, same principles apply. So we put down sort of 5 clear stages to doing this successfully. So understanding your current setup, reviewing what you have, where the data is stored, which systems are used, and who's using them. It's amazing how often we find 5 different versions of the same folder in different tools. Mapping everything out is the foundation for a smooth transition. Defining the core platform. Decide which platform will become your home. For most charities, that's 365, but it might be Google Workspace, it might be something else. The key is to make a conscious decision rather than just letting it evolve naturally or by accident. So plan a structured migration. Break the project down into stages and have everything ready in place for your migration. Communicate your timelines with your team so that everyone knows what to expect. So change is always easier when people understand why it's happening. So communicate, share the benefits, address concerns, and involve staff early. Offer short practical training sessions, easy to follow guides, short webinars, quick meetings, just so everyone feels supported. And continually review and optimize post-migration. Once you're live, take time to review everything, how it's working, gather feedback, and fine-tune the permissions and structures. The last step ensures that your new setup keeps improving rather than drifting back into those old habits of people doing things the way they used to do them. So what does it mean? It means consolidation doesn't have to be disruptive or overwhelming. It's about making progress, not perfection. Each step brings more clarity, better security, and less complexity. So if you're wondering where to start, I suggest beginning with a consultation with managers or staff to review the existing platforms you're using and the benefits of which platforms you may want to migrate to. And remember, you don't have to go it alone. Partnering with an MSP like us, who understands the sector, can save you time, reduce risk, and make the transition smooth for everyone. So I've covered a lot of the technology so far, but the honest part is, and the hardest part isn't the systems, it's the people. You can have the most secure and well-designed system in the world, but if your staff aren't comfortable with it, or they're resistant to change, the benefits will never be fully realized. So successful cloud adoption is about culture as much as it is about configuration. That's why preparing the team properly is absolutely key. So here's what we've seen make the biggest differences across the hundreds of organizations we work with. Communication, often and early. Don't surprise people with change, bring them on the journey, explain why the move is happening, and crucially, what's in it for them. For example, faster logins, easier collaboration, fewer technical issues. When staff understand the benefits of their daily work, they'll feel much more engaged. All the tools you need to build buy-in at every level. It's important that trustees, senior management, and frontline staff are all aligned. Leadership sets the tone, but it's the staff on the ground who will make or break the adoption. Identifying potential champions in each department, people who can act as the go-to for questions and encouragement is really important. Appointing those digital leaders, people that are internal advocates, staff or volunteers who enjoy technology, can help others come along for the journey. Having a peer show you how to do something is often much more effective than hearing it from your IT team or partner. It creates a sense of shared ownership and makes people feel together. And then investing in training. And it doesn't have to be formal or expensive. It just needs to be practical. Short workshops, easy to follow guides, quick videos, show you how to perform a common task, how to log in, and then make sure staff know where to go for help after the go live. The assurance of quick, friendly support makes a huge difference. So by thinking about who your internal influencers are, those staff members who are naturally people turn to for advice, then plan how you communicate the change, keep it positive, transparent, and focus on impact. And finally, don't treat it as a one-off event. The cloud keeps evolving, and so should your people. So we want to create a culture where learning is continuous. The team will stay confident long after the migration is complete. When the team feels supported, the technology stops being a barrier and it becomes a tool for empowerment. So now I'm going to pivot slightly. And although we are both Google, Amazon, Ignite, and Microsoft partners, I want to touch on why Microsoft 365 is such a strong choice for charities. Over 90% of the charity clients we have use Microsoft 365. And that's because it's simple. It's cost effective. It's the easiest platform for staff to get to grips with. It's the platform that brings everything together. Most charities and staff are already using some form of Microsoft software, whether it's Outlook, Word, Excel, PowerPoint. What Microsoft does is unite all of those familiar tools in a single cloud-based environment that's built for flexibility, collaboration, and security. So what does that mean? Whether you've got 5 staff or 500 staff, Microsoft 365 scales effortlessly within your organization. You can add new users, new devices in minutes, and it easily supports hybrid or remote teams. Because most users already know Word, Excel, and Outlook, the learning curve is minimal. That means that you can roll out modern systems without having to retrain everyone from scratch. All the tools talk to each other. Teams is linked with SharePoint, it's linked with OneDrive, Outlook calendar sync to Teams meetings, Planner integrates with To-Do, and that connectivity removes duplication, stops people wasting time and energy. Security is built in, so features like Microsoft multi-factor authentication, data encryption, and centralized device management come as standard, giving charities enterprise-grade protection without the price tag. And then there's obviously the licensing we've already touched on. Microsoft offers the most generous charity discounts available. Business Basic, as I say, is completely free. A Business Premium with all the advanced security tools and software is offered at 90% reduced cost. So what does that mean for you in practice? It means that you can have a single unified system that improves collaboration, reduces risk, and fits with your budget. Staff can work from anywhere, documents are always backed up, and you're no longer paying for multiple overlapping tools. For most charities, the path of least resistance and the greatest reward is to build on what's already familiar and trusted. Microsoft 365 gives you a foundation for secure, integrated, and ready to grow your mission. It really is the tool that the majority of our clients use for that reason. It's not having to retrain staff and do what they know best. So how can we maximize Microsoft 365 once you've made the move? It's one thing to talk about collaboration and productivity, but what really transforms charities day to day is how to use the tools in the right way. 365 isn't just Word, Excel, and Outlook anymore. It's a complete productivity ecosystem built to save time, reduce admin, and improve communication. So some of the tools that are making the biggest differences for the charities we work with, I'll just go through a few of these. Microsoft Teams, everyone knows it. Staff can chat instantly, run meetings, share files, co-edit documents in real time. It replaces endless email chains and brings every department into one virtual workspace. Forms is a simple but powerful way to gather feedback, event signups, internal surveys. You can connect it to Power Automate and trigger things like next steps. So notifying a staff member when someone registers for a workshop. Things like Planner and To-Do are perfect for task and project management. You can assign actions after a team meeting, track deadlines, and just see progress at a glance. Many charities use it for grant tracking or campaign planning. Bookings is ideal for charities that schedule meetings with clients, volunteers, or perhaps or partners. It lets people book time directly into your calendar, reducing the back and forth of emails and making sure that you're free at the right times. You can block out the exact times you want to be available to book, and people will only be able to book in the times when you are available if you've got other meetings in place. OneNote's fantastic. Digital notebook is great for keeping meeting minutes, sharing agendas, recording ideas. Teams can work across sites to keep a shared OneNote so everyone's on the same page. It's really great for collaboration. And then there's the big next step in productivity, Microsoft Copilot. Copilot is Microsoft's built-in AI assistant. It's designed to help you work smarter. Key point, you don't have to buy a separate license to start using it. The free version of Copilot is already available at copilot.microsoft.com and in Microsoft Teams. You can use it today to draft emails, summarize text, brainstorm ideas, create social media campaigns. It's integrated with the free versions of Word, Excel, and PowerPoint in the browser. So in the browser, you can help you create content in those. You can ask it to write content, summarize reports, or turn bullet points into a paragraph. Obviously, today I won't have time to go into depth into each of these tools, but we have got you covered. My colleague Ray is going to put in the chat a link to our YouTube page where we've done loads of webinars in the past exploring all these tools in depth. Quick wins with Microsoft Teams, SharePoint versus OneDrive, Copilot Chat, Microsoft 365 Copilot, empowering your team with AI, mastering Outlook and bookings, unlocking the power of Microsoft 365 productivity. All of these webinars we've done over the last 12 months. So please do jump on our YouTube channel after this and have a look at some of those tools, share them with your team. They're a great way to getting the most out of Microsoft 365. So I was going to bring everything we've discussed to life with a real example from one of our charity partners, Home-Start Surrey. They're a fantastic organisation we met with about a year ago. They support families and young children across the region. But like many charities, they were being held back by outdated systems. Their challenges might sound very familiar to some of you. So when we first met them, they had a single on-premise server. That meant staff couldn't work remotely. The systems were fragile. If something went wrong, everything went wrong. They were tied to a one-man band as their IT provider, which created a single point of failure. There were no integrated systems for file sharing or collaboration. Each staff member had slightly different ways of storing documents. And the result was inefficiency, duplication, and frustration. They knew they needed to modernise, but were understandably nervous about the disruption. So we started with a full audit of all their systems, understanding how they worked and what mattered most to them. Then we designed a complete but staged migration to Microsoft 365. We moved all the staff to 365, enabling secure and flexible remote working. We introduced SharePoint for collaboration and file storage. It deployed Microsoft Intune to manage the devices securely, so they could protect data whether on the laptops or in the office or at home or on the move. We set up Datto for automated cloud backups and quick recovery if anything went wrong. Then we upgraded the telephone system to Teams calling, integrating calls directly into the same platform the staff are already using. Then we provide ongoing account management and support to ensure everything continues to work. So what did that mean? The results were transformational. Home-Start Surrey now has stronger security and business continuity. The data is protected and recoverable anytime. A more efficient hybrid working model. Staff can access everything securely from anywhere. Consistent collaboration. Everyone works from the same version of a document, whether it's shared via Teams or SharePoint. And more importantly, they're no longer dependent on a single person or a piece of hardware. Their systems are scalable, reliable, and ready to grow. The case study really highlights what we've been saying today. Moving to the cloud isn't about technology. It's about liberating the team, giving them the tools and the freedom to focus on the mission of the charity. If you're sitting here thinking that sounds like us, the good news is this kind of transformation is entirely achievable, step by step, and with the right plan and support, we can help you. So after everything I've covered, the challenges of on-premise IT, the opportunities in the cloud, and the importance of staff buy-in, the big question is, where do we start? The answer is not that every charity needs to or should move everything to the cloud overnight, But what really matters is taking the right first steps. Steps to make a meaningful impact straight away without overwhelming your team or your budget. So I've put down some practical steps here to help you begin the journey. So prioritize what matters most. So every organization has one or two areas that can cause the biggest headaches. It might be old file server, insecure logins, unreliable backups, or simply the difficulty of working remotely. So start there. Each improvement, even a small one, reduces risk and moves you closer to a modern, secure environment. Focus on quick wins over the next 6 to 12 months. You don't have to tackle everything at once. Many of the charities we work with start by introducing a few easy changes that immediately make life easier, like moving shared files to SharePoint, rolling out MFA, or setting up teams for better communication. And these small successes build momentum and confidence around the team. Creating a realistic roadmap, whether it's 6 months, 12 months, whatever it could look like, and align the projects with your budget cycle and operational plans. For example, use quieter periods for migrations when staff disruption will be minimal, Christmases, summer, that kind of stuff. And a phased approach keeps the transition smooth and controlled. So we can move email maybe first, then files, then looking at Teams calling, stuff like that. And then working with a provider who truly understands the charity landscape makes a huge difference. We know the budget pressures, the governance requirements, and the need to make every pound count. Our role is to help you design a plan that's not just technically sound, but sustainable and cost effective. So start small, but start now. Every step you take, even something as simple as improving security or moving to the cloud, brings you closer to a more resilient, flexible, and efficient organization. If you're not sure where to begin, that's exactly what we're here for. So we can carry out a free consultation. There'll be a link in the chat, or an IT audit to help you identify the biggest risks and the quickest wins. From there, we can work with you to build a tailored roadmap that fits your goals and your budget. Moving to the cloud isn't an all or nothing decision, it's a journey. So the earlier you take the first steps, the sooner your staff and volunteers and beneficiaries will feel the benefits.